As a recovering overachiever, I have a confession to make. I don't want to be a badass anymore, and I think that's okay. Welcome to the Joyfulicity podcast. I'm your host, Laura Wakefield. Somebody told me once that I was a badass woman, and I kind of had to laugh because I never really thought of myself that way. But when I pondered on it, I knew kind of what they meant. I can recognize that I've tended to be a bit of an overachiever in many ways in my life. I have a huge family that I manage as a single mom. I generally have worked multiple jobs to bring home the bacon. I've traveled, I've danced. I've always been ambitious with a lot of internal drive. My mom used to say that she never had to get after me to get good grades because I was just kind of wired that way, with an internal sense of competitiveness and desire to succeed. So I'm very proud of the things that I've accomplished in my life. But recently, though, as I'm getting a little bit older, I feel myself changing inside, softening, slowing down, refocusing my priorities. I have to confess that there are some games that I no longer have the will to win. One of them is the rat race. Nope, going forward, the rats can keep that trophy. As I get older, I really don't care anymore about professional accolades or being at the top of the class or the company or the list. I don't really want to spend my life perpetually running. I'm kind of moving into meandering mode these days, and I'm quite contented there. I'm increasingly aware of my own mortality, as several friends and close acquaintances and family members have passed away in recent years. It's making me realize that I want to be sure that I truly live for however long I have left to live on this earth, and to figure out what that means for me. I want to nurture relationships and experiences over external accomplishments. If something steals my peace, it no longer feels worth the effort. Now, I still have many interests and pursuits. I always will. But they're more confined to activities that fuel my passions and creativity. I finally made the move down here to Florida to the beach because that is a huge fuel spot for me. It's a recharge place for me for all of those creative pursuits. And just for peace generally in my life, the ocean has always been that for me. So I actually moved my family down to be closer to it. That's how important this way of thinking and living is becoming to me now. That I will sacrifice other things in order to have the things that matter most. I want to write. I still love to dance. Down here I haven't figured out a place to do that yet, but hopefully I will. But I have a lot of artistic things that I want to explore inside of myself and share with other people now. And I haven't been giving myself the time to do those things while I've been caught up in the rat race. So I'm kind of stepping off of that hamster wheel now, or rat wheel, or whatever we want to use in this analogy. And I'm going to kind of pass the torch on that to some others now that want to still be running that, and let them win. I don't care anymore. And part of me wonders, does this just mean that I'm losing my motivation or my drive? I don't think so exactly. I'm just rechanneling it in new directions that have nothing to do with any kind of external approval or validation. It's all coming from within myself and within my family and close relationships and what matters there. Another one is the chaos competition. Have you ever noticed that society praises and respects stress? Even though stress is actually killing us as humans. It's kind of weird, isn't it? As if the busier we are, the more value we have as people. I lived in this way of thinking for so very long, but I soundly reject it now. Chaos does not equal worth or value. Ironically, it doesn't even usually equal increased productivity. It does add up to physical illness, mental health conditions, and strained relationships. No, thank you. I will politely pass from now on. I still work very hard at the things I care about, but I'm simply more selective with how many directions I try to go at once. And that, again, can be easily misinterpreted by other people. Have you noticed that people will actually compete almost to prove that they're the most stressed out one in the group? If somebody throws down a story about a stressor that they are living at the moment, Everybody will jump immediately on board to tell how their situation was even worse than that. And wait till you hear the story I have to tell. It's a very strange dynamic that once you start paying attention to it, you'll notice it more and more. And that goes along with kind of the other race that I don't want to win anymore, and that's the who has it hardest war. It's a really funny thing we do as people. We compete for the prize of who has had it the worst. Why do we do this? I have no idea, but it's true. You see it every day. Just listen next time a woman mentions that she's pregnant, as the stories start to roll in from everywhere about the horrible birth stories that people have experienced. What in the world are we trying to improve when we do that? And why would we throw all that stuff at this poor woman who's just said she's pregnant and tell her all the ways it's going to be awful and all the terrible things that we've ever heard that have happened and that have happened to us? But it somehow makes us feel significant, I think, that we are the strongest or tougher than everybody else because of what we've been through. Does the shock value of our story make us feel more significant or more special or unique? I don't know, but I don't want to play anymore. I've been through many, many, many hard things in my life, and I do talk about them sometimes when I feel like it's relevant. But I try these days to redirect my thoughts toward my blessings and opportunities instead of toward my traumas. I forget sometimes, but I'm working on it. Happiness breeds more happiness, I've discovered. So I hope to cultivate as much of that as possible, regardless of my circumstances. And that's not to minimize the difficult things that happen in our lives. And I'm not by any means saying that we shouldn't discuss them or talk about them. I'm talking about this dynamic, and you know what I mean, of almost trying to prove to the world that somehow we've had it the hardest. Start paying attention in your conversations, and you'll start to see these things. This martyrdom mentality that we seem to celebrate today in our world. Why do we do that? I'm trying to make sense out of it for myself because I have played this game as well for many years. Maybe if we can convince ourselves that our lives are really rough, that gives us a bit of a free pass on bad behavior sometimes. Or maybe it gives us excuses as to why we haven't achieved things that we feel that we should have. Or maybe we feel more important when we can win at that because we're not winning at other things. Or maybe it's just a product of trying to trauma bond with other people. We hear that term a lot these days about trauma bonding. And it's actually a very intoxicating experience to discuss all of your problems with people and get all this validation from them. Now, this is different. Trauma bonding is different from actual bonding with people that are close to you and getting the support and help that you need. I would never discourage anybody from doing that. I'm talking about the sort of incessant public displays of our trauma that we feel sometimes compelled to do, even beyond what would be socially appropriate or necessary for our healing. Almost as if we wear our traumas and our victimhood as badges of honor somehow out there. And what that tends to do is keep those things front and center in our lives. When we're focused on our stress, when we're focused on our pain, when we're focused on our traumas, when we're focused on what's wrong, when we're focused on how we are the most tired and the most stressed out and the most overworked and the most of all of these things, guess what happens? We continue those cycles. We continue to be those things because we are getting something out of that experience of reliving that over and over and over. There's something about that that's feeding us. And so I guess what I'm feeling now is that maybe I want to be fed with some different fuel. Maybe I want to start focusing more of my energy on not running so fast, not wearing myself completely to the bone, not exhausting myself, body, mind, and spirit, and thinking that somehow that equals success. Because in the world's view, the accolades and the triumphs that we obtain that way sometimes do equal success. But success, to me, is starting to mean something different. It's starting to mean the ability to create, to explore, to discover, to follow my curiosity, to do the things that bring me joy, to do the things that light up the eyes of people that I love, to do the basics of self-care that get neglected sometimes while running, and trying to win all those wars out there. Sometimes we neglect just basics of self-care, basics of relationship care, basics of humanity get lost sometimes in waging the wars and the races for approval, and the wars and the races for achievement. Sometimes we might win, but actually lose the things that matter most. Even when I was dancing and doing dance competitions, I couldn't really muster a whole lot of competitive spirit anymore. I saw them more as a chance to measure my own improvement against my own self and a chance to have a lot of fun. So I think somewhere along the line, I lost my badass edge. And you know what? I'm okay with that now. This new chapter ahead feels more deliberate for me, more peaceful, more grounded, more joyful. I'll happily pass the badass badge on to somebody else that wants it. You're going to be able to find me puttering around in my garden. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for joining me today on the Joyfulicity podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and share, and come follow me on all major social media sites at Joyfulicity or on my website, joyfulicity.com. You can follow the link in the description for this episode to all of the places that we can connect. Have a great day, everybody, and remember, dare to dream, plan to play, live to learn.